Today, we dive into the Linggu Canal, the unsung hydraulic masterpiece that turned the tide of Qin's southern conquest, linked two of China's greatest river systems, and proved that the Qin were not just tyrants, but masters of water terrain and large-scale state engineering. This is not just the canal. It is a masterclass in ancient innovation, a lifeline for an expanding empire, and a monument to human ingenuity carved into the mountains of southern China. By 221 BCE, Qin Shi Huang had crushed the six warring states and forged the first unified Chinese empire. His ambition knew no bounds. He turned his gaze south to Lingnan, the vast mountainous region of modern Guangdong, Guangxi, and Hainan, home to the independent Baiyu tribes. The Qin war machine, undefeated on the central plains, faced a nightmare in the south. The terrain was a tangled labyrinth of steep hills, dense forests, and unnavigable rivers. Pack animals could not carry enough grain, and ox-drawn carts sank into mud. For 3 years, 500,000 Qin troops under General Tu Sui were stuck under-resourced and battered by Baiyu guerrilla fighters who knew every valley and stream. The army's biggest enemy was not the enemy, it was supply lines. Without a way to move grain, weapons, and reinforcements to the front, the conquest of Lingnan was doomed, and Qin's dream of a unified empire would die in the southern mist. Qin Shi Huang did not tolerate failure. He issued a brutal, non-negotiable order: build a canal that could connect the Xiang River, part of the Yangtze system, and the Li River, part of the Pearl River system, creating a permanent water highway for military supply. The man tasked with this impossible mission was Shi Lu, an imperial inspector, whose full name is lost to history. We know him only as Lu, the supervisor. Shi Lu was not a general or a noble. He was a logistics and engineering genius, handed the hardest project of the Qin era. The odds were stacked against him. The two rivers flowed in opposite directions, separated by a low mountain divide, with a small but tricky elevation drop. Most engineers would have declared the task impossible. Shi Lu saw possibility. Construction began around 219 BCE, and took 5 brutal years, completed in 214 BCE. Thousands of conscripted laborers, soldiers, and craftsmen toiled in sweltering heat, facing disease, dangerous terrain, and constant pressure from the imperial court. There was no concrete, no steel, no heavy machinery, only stone, wood, rammed earth, and lime mortar made from sticky rice. Yet what they built was not primitive. It was precision engineered to work with nature, not against it. The Ling Canal stretches 37.4 kilometers, a slender winding waterway that threads through the hills of Xing and Guangxi, turning an impossible geographic barrier into a strategic superhighway. Let's break down the engineering that makes this canal a miracle. At the heart of the Linggu is the plow-shaped Fenshuizui. A stone pier, shaped like a plow blade, that sits at the canal's headwaters, directly facing the current of the upper Xiang River. Its purpose is simple in concept, revolutionary in execution: split the river's flow into 2 parts, with perfect unchanging ratio, 70% north, back into the Xiang, 30% south into the Li. This 30/70th split was not random. It was calculated to guarantee enough water for southbound supply ships, without flooding the smaller southern channel. Behind the Fenshuizui lie the great and small balance dams, Da Tianping, Xiao Tianping, a human-shaped overflow system that acts as a natural flood control and water regulator. These low-sloped stone dams are designed so that when water levels rise too high, excess flow spills over the top, back into the original Xiang riverbed, preventing erosion and collapse. The name Tianping Balance says it all. The dams balance water volume automatically, no human intervention needed in drought or flood. This is hydraulic autonomy, 2,200 years before smart water systems. Next, the canal's channel design defies logic. The North Canal is short-winding and gently sloped to maintain stable water levels for ships returning north. The South Canal, longer and steeper, uses a series of dolmen or flash locks, the earliest functional boat locks in human history, predating European locks by more than 1,600 years. The Lingguans had 36 such locks, which allowed vessels to climb over the watershed by closing gates to raise water levels step by step, turning a natural downhill flow into a navigable path uphill. This is how ships crossed a mountain ridge without locks or canals, as we know them today. The Qin did not just dig a ditch. They redesigned the landscape to move water and ships exactly where they wanted, when they wanted. The moment the Linggu opened, everything changed. Grain fleets sailed smoothly from the Yangtze Basin, down the Xiang, through the Linggu, and into the Li, reaching the front lines in weeks instead of months. The Qin army, suddenly fully supplied, smashed Beiyu resistance, and completed the conquest of Lingnan within the same year. Qin immediately established 3 commanderies, Guilin, Nanhai, and Xiongnu, bringing southern China permanently into the Chinese Empire. The lingua was not just a military tool. It became the backbone of cultural and economic integration. Immigrants, traders, officials, and scholars traveled south along the canal, spreading Qin laws, writing, agriculture, and technology. It turned a remote tribal frontier into an integral part of China, shaping the nation's southern border and cultural identity for millennia. We often compare the lingua to the Great Wall, and for good reason. The wall stood as a northern defensive colossus, while the lingua served as a southern lifeline of expansion and unity. Together, they represent Qin's dual identity, an empire that defended its borders and expanded its reach with equal ferocity. The lingua also stands alongside Dujiangyan and the Zhongguo Canal, as the 3 great Qin water projects a trio of engineering marvels that show the Qin's unmatched mastery of hydraulic engineering. Unlike many ancient structures that crumbled, the ling has been used continuously for over 2,200 years, repaired and improved by later dynasties, and still functions for irrigation and local transport today, irrigating more than 30,000 mu of farmland. What makes the lingu truly extraordinary is not just its scale, but its wisdom. The Qin did not dominate nature with brute force. They studied it, adapted to it, and used its own rules against its challenges. The Fenshuizui mimics natural river divides. The balance dams use gravity for flood control. The locks use water pressure to lift ships. Every component is minimal, durable, and perfectly matched to the local terrain. This is sustainable engineering, long before the term existed. It is a lesson for modern builders. The greatest projects work with the earth, not against it. We cannot talk about the lingua without acknowledging the human cost. Thousands of laborers died during construction, victims of exhaustion, disease, and harsh conditions. The Qin Empire's greatest achievements were built on the backs of its people, a dark truth that shadows every monumental project of the age. Yet, the canal itself remains a testament to what collective effort, guided by brilliant engineering, can achieve. It is a paradox of empire, oppression and ambition, cruelty and genius, intertwined in stone and water. Today, the lingua is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a revered symbol of Chinese technological heritage. Modern engineers and historians still study its design, marveling at its simplicity and effectiveness. It reminds us that history's most powerful forces are not just armies or emperors, but ideas about how to move water, cross mountains, and connect a nation. The lingu is more than a canal. It is a proof that genius often lies in solving the impossible with quiet, relentless precision. When we look at the lingua, we see the soul of the Qin dynasty, unyielding, systematic, and capable of reshaping the world to match its vision. It is a story of crisis turned into triumph, of geography defeated by ingenuity, and of a waterway that built an empire. In a world obsessed with speed and size, the lingu teaches us that true greatness is measured in endurance, balance, and harmony with the natural world. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.